Good morning, everyone. We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, via YouTube streaming, and also via Skype online. Each one of you is welcome to this live streaming. Guru Purnima special life of Milarepa. Guru Purnima special life of Milarepa. Milarepa is a Tibetan tantric master. His story, his life forms an important part of Tibetan culture and it is told many times. It was written in 15th century by Haruku. Milarepa was born in the western Tibet to a very prosperous family. When his father died, his family was deprived of their wealth by his uncle and aunt. At his mother's request, Milarepa left home and studied sorcery to take revenge. He was a murderer who killed many people. Later he felt sad about his deeds and he became a Buddhist monk. He was in search of salvation, so he inquired everywhere and he was told that there is a Buddhist master, Marpa. He is known as Marpa the translator. You should go to him and only he can help you. Marpa, he went in search of Marpa. He saw some children playing. He asked the children if they know Marpa, the translator. One of the boys took Milarepa to a field where Marpa was plowing the field. That little boy was the son of Marpa, and when Milarepa told him what is the purpose of his coming, Marpa handed over him the plough and asked him to continue to plough. He continued to plough. He surrendered to Marpa because he understood that surrender is one of the most important aspects for inward journey, and surrendered him totally. He must have been a unique individual, and the other disciples of that master of Marpa became very much jealous of Milarepa because he started doing strange things. He would walk on water, he would go through the fire and not be burned. And then they asked, what is the secret? At this he said, you are senior disciples of the master, you must know. I have simply surrendered myself to Marpa. So whenever I want to cross the river, I simply remember the Master and just say to him, take me to the other side, and I walk on the water. When Marpa heard this, he could not believe. He wanted to see. He told Milarepa to jump from a mountain peak into 1,000 feet deep valley. Milarepa simply remembered the name of the Master and jumped. They all were thinking that they will not be able to see the bits and pieces of the man, Milarepa. The valley was so deep and dangerous. It took them hours to reach down to the valley, and when they reached the valley, Milarepa was sitting there in the lotus posture and so blissfully. The Master said, just my name helps you? At this, Milarepa replied in affirmation. And naturally and logically, Marpa thought, if my name helps him so much, I must be a great master. And he thought, if my name helps, then what miracle can I not do? He tried to walk on the water. And as he started walking, he drowned. He was drowning. Then disciples ran and they saved him. They saved him. At this, Milarepa said, you should have not done something like this, at least in front of us. That has shattered my trust in you. And the story goes on like this. But Milarepa was doing everything, but there was no talk of initiation or anything. Milarepa requested Marpa's wife, who had a soft corner for Milarepa, to ask him to initiate him. But Milarepa continued, Marpa did not initiate him. Then at the request of his wife, he said he has to build a 3-corner house for my son first, and that too all by himself. Milarepa made that 3-corner house. After that, when Marpa saw it, he said, no, you need to make a 4-corner house. Milarepa made the house as requested. Then he said, you have to build a 5-corner house. He did that. When Marpa saw it, he said, you need to have 5 towers around the house. But there was no talk of initiation, whereas the other newcomers were allowed, were initiated. And eventually Marpa accepted him, explaining that trials were meant to purify Milarepa's negative acts that he has performed. He learned sorcery to take revenge from his uncle and aunt who took over the possessions of his father. Mapa transmitted tantric initiations much after. Once it happened, Milarepa saw some disciples sitting down and Marpa was giving them intense initiation. So silently he sat down at the back. Marpa was sitting with his eyes closed. With his eyes closed, he had a piece of a stick in his hand and he came near Milarepa and started beating him. So that did not work. He requested Marpa's wife. So she knew that one of Marpa's disciples was capable of initiating. So she wrote a letter on behalf of Marpa requesting him to initiate Milarepa. And she sent him with that letter to that disciple. When Marpa came to know, he revoked the initiation of that disciple also. So it continued like this. Eventually Marpa accepted him, explaining that all these trials, hard work, plowing the land, building the house, were all to purify Milarepa's negative acts, negative karma. Marpa then transmitted tantric initiation and instructed to Milarepa, including yogic heat, the oral transmission, and Mahamudra. That was Tilopa's Mahamudra. Marpa told Milarepa to practice solitary meditation in caves and mountain retreats, which according to the biography, after many years of practice resulted in deep experimental realization about the true nature of reality. Thereafter he lived as a fully realized yogi and eventually forgave his uncle and aunt who caused misfortune to his family. It happened during that time. Each chakra, according to Tibetans, is governed by Dakini, a female goddess. She told, Marpa initiated you but did not complete the initiation because he does not know more than what he told you. Still there is something more. So when Milarepa heard this, he went to Marpa and told him what Dakini had told him. He said, let us travel to India to his master Tilopa. And there the initiation of Milarepa was completed. According to Lopez, the life of Milarepa represents Buddhism as it was understood and practiced in Tibet in 15th century, projected back in time, and contains many of the key terms and doctrine of Buddhism. Marpa was the master who initiated Milarepa. It comes from the Indian tradition of the Tantrics. Marpa was a student of Naropa, and Marpa was known as translator because he has translated almost all the scriptures from India. His biographer mentions the life of Milarepa portrays two parallel worlds, one profane and the other is sacred world, which are ultimately one, showing the world itself is sacred, the inner and outer. Milarepa is known for his remarkable determination and personal growth. His inspiring story traces the very familiar human progression from confusion to clarity. Earlier in his life, Milarepa came to understand tenets of both privilege and oppression. Though born in a wealthy family, the death of Milarepa's father left his mother and him at the mercy of his aunt and uncle, who put them to work as servants for their own family. At his mother's request, as I mentioned, he learned black magic to take revenge. So this caused him to attract an immense amount of negative karma into his life as a young adult. Soon after committing these crimes, Milarepa's joy at having helped his mother began to fade, and he started feeling remorse. This transformation led Milarepa to seek the master. Milarepa's life story shows one who can progress from being caught in a cycle of confusion known as world or sansar, to becoming a student entering and practicing the path of dharma, to eventually becoming a teacher himself and taking on the responsibility of training others. It was not long after that Milarepa found Marpa, the translator, a Tibetan Buddhist teacher. Marpa was able to see the potential in Milarepa, but knew that young man would have to process his remorse and uncertainty about before beginning his time as a student of dharma and can be initiated. In order to guide him to a place of preparedness, Marpa set Milarepa to his legendary task of building, destroying and rebuilding stone towers. During this period, first Marpa let him make a 3-corner building house, then demolish it and build a 4-corner, then again demolish it and build a 5-corner house. And when he had built the 5-corner house, Marpa was satisfied. All this Milarepa had to do for himself, and then he was asked to build 5 towers around the house. This was to purify the negativities of his past actions so that Milarepa could begin the studies with fewer obstacles. It is always your negativities that create obstacles in your way. The energy of the master cannot work within you. It creates, and these things keep on happening on a day-to-day basis. A doubt comes in, you are moving forward, a doubt comes in, there is a retardation. you go back to where you were. A slight doubt comes in your mind. All that effort goes in vain. Marpa's challenges pushed Milarepa almost to the point of suicide before he agreed to take him on as a student. Thus began Milarepa's journey to becoming the yogi and the poet that he is remembered as today, the 1,000 Songs of Milarepa. He began his simple story, lifestyle, living in the caves. He often wore little clothings, even in the winter months, and became known as the cotton-clad one. Though he did not seek students, words of his practice traveled, and he was sought out by many. It is said Milarepa engaged with whosoever approached him, and it is through his teachings that as spontaneous songs and poetries were shared. Milarepa sang hundreds of such songs. These are known as songs of Milarepa. One of the songs is Song of the Snow. I will read this song for you. On this auspicious, glorious day, you male and female benefactors who welcome me with prostrations, along with myself, the yogi Milarepa, we did not perish and have met. Oh, how joyful! I am an old man with a treasury of songs, so I will answer your query to my health with this tune. Listen carefully and be focused, alternative minds. At the very end of the tiger year, at the very beginning of the year of the hare, on the full moon of this month, disillusioned with the things of sansar, I went seeking a secluded retreat in the remote pastures of Lachi snow range. The land and sky conferred together and sent down a messenger, a strong wind. With the elements of water and wind, Hestir, black southern clouds gathered in front. The sun and moon were put into prison. 28 constellations were strung on a wire. The 8 planets were put into shackles by edict. The great Milky Way was tethered down. The morning star was completely wrapped in mist. With wind, with sleet blew, and finally snow fell for 9 days and 9 nights. With the days and night together totaling 18, the big flakes were big. They fell like thick layers of wool. Like birds in flight, they plummeted down. The small flakes were small and they fell like tiny wheels. Like bees flying around, then dropping down. Other small flakes the size of mustard seeds and beans lumped together and fell like balls of sleet. The snow fell in more sizes than one could count. High above the snowy white peak touched the sky. Blue, the plants and trees were matted and pressed. The mountains of black donned a blanket of white, an ocean with waves that were frozen over. The blue river's water were put in a shell. The contour of the land was even to a plain. Because of this, snowfall was so great, the black-haired people became shocked in. The four-legged creatures were stricken with famine, especially the old, weak ones. Sustenance was cut. Above the birds' food source was depleted. Below, the pikes and mice hid in their stores. The meat-eating animals were unable to eat. As for the fate of such sleet and strong wind, and particularly the fate of me, Milarepa, that blizzard that came down from above, the strong winter wind of the new year, and I, the yogi Milarepa's clothes, these three all fought on the side of high snow mountain, but I was victorious over the snowfall. As it melted to water, through the wind roared powerfully, it naturally subsided and my clothes like fire were blazing strong. Two wrestlers contended there in life or death match. I gave it the edge of my kingly sword. I was victorious in that fight where the valiant ones were overthrown. Thus all dharma practitioners earned some clout, especially meditators twice as much. In particular, my single, gently closed, showed its greatness. The four gatherings of illness were put on the scale. Then inner disturbances were completely vanished. Both cold and hot pranas were fully cast out. Later the elements listened and healed what was said. The demon of snow and sleet was suppressed. Then all was resolved and completely still. Though Sansar's brigade tried, it did not succeed. Thus this yogi won the flight. I am my grandfather's descendant, with the coat of a tiger. I never fled wearing the coat of a fox. To my father was born a son of the class of champions. I never lost in the face of a foe. I am the family of lions, the king of the beasts. I never lived in snowless lands. Fate has once again played its jokes. If you trust that what this old man says has any power, if you trust that what this old man says has any power, the practiced lineage teachings will spread in future. A few siddhas have come and I, the yogi Milarepa, will be removed throughout the lands. You disciples will have faith, and fame of you will later spread. I, a yogi, am very well. You benefactors, how are you? According to a blessing Milarepa uttered through the end of his life, anyone who will hear the name Milarepa even once attracts an instant blessing and will not take rebirth in lower states of existence during 7 consecutive lifetimes. This was prophesied by saints and Buddhas of the past even before the lifetime. Thus continued the life of Milarepa. When I get a chance, I'll continue other aspects of Milarepa. Only this much for this morning. Until meet again. Take care and do have a pleasant day.